Welcome back again, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. I am your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you, as always, for joining us today. This is number 32 of 32 for my NHL team season previews. Yeah, it's October 8th. It took me that long to get all these in, and I am so happy, so delighted to get this last one in. And then later on here, start to enjoy some hockey. I actually have some hockey over here right now is St. Louis and Seattle kicking us off here. So that is great. We're going to talk about the Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions from a year ago. And before we do, just of course, my thoughts with everybody down there in Florida. Uh, Another hurricane coming through. A little bit surprised they're playing the game. It looks like the hurricane isn't really touching that Miami area as much, I guess. But yeah, kind of surprised they're not holding off on the game tonight. But my thoughts to all my friends and family who are down there, all sorts of people I know in that area, and just everybody. Please stay safe, and hopefully this storm won't be as bad as it's projecting. So on to Florida. Let's talk about head coach Paul Maurice, one of my absolute favorite characters, in the league. He has coached in 1,849 regular season games and has an 869, 736, 99, and 144 record. Once you do the math on that, that is a 536 save percentage. Playoffs, he has a 70 and 67 record there. And of course, now, as we know, Stanley Cup championship on his resume. But he has coached all over the place, going all the way back, started with the Hartford Whalers. Of course, coached in Carolina. Of course, Hartford Whalers turned into Carolina, right? By coaching Carolina twice, Toronto, Winnipeg, and of course, Florida. And did win the Eastern Conference back in 01-02 with Carolina, and of course, winning the East in 22-23 in Florida, which all of us Boston fans absolutely remember. And we're still in therapy for it, by the way. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're over. We're done. Right? We're good. Good. Um, yeah, but Paul Maurice, he is again, like I said, one of my favorites in the league. One of the best post game listens league wide. You get a chance to see him in a presser after a game, whether they win or lose. He's just a delight. Funny, candid, and yeah, just definitely worth the listen. Looking at Puckpedia before I came on, of course, these numbers, as we know, will change. They have 130,455 under the cap, 22 out of 23 active roster spots showing right now. Of course, there's some movement today in the goalie situation for them, so we'll talk more about that here in a moment. First round pick, they did not have one this year, but more notable is going into 2025, they have no first, second, or third round draft picks. So they have kind of done the Boston Bruins thing where they've traded all their picks. They've done a little better than Boston because they actually won a Stanley Cup. Um, but yeah, they've traded out those picks to get assets and not much of a draft for themselves next season. Going back to last year, record of 52, 24, and 610 points. They do eke out that Atlantic Division by 1 point over Boston, and of course, march themselves back to the Stanley Cup and win it this year in that game seven against Edmonton. Um, Looked like they were going to collapse. It just did, right? Up 3-0. Edmonton battling back, and that game seven, like I just said in my previous Edmonton video, it's just such an epic series. It went from such a dud of a series to such a fantastic watch. I was just glued to my seat in that game seven. It was just awesome. And listen, well deserved championship for Florida. Yes, I'm a Boston fan, but when you look at what they've done to get there over the last 2 and 3 seasons, they had been right around it the last couple of years. And yeah, you hate as a Boston fan how they snuck in at number 8 and took you down, but they were one of the best teams in the league that second half of that season, and they had been the President's Trophy winner the year prior. So this was not a typical number 8 seed that year. It wasn't a fluke, nothing fluky about it. Um, because even during that year when they were kind of struggling, they're still hard to play against, right? They were a hard team to play against, tough, physical. and they certainly proved that out last season. Looking at their team stats, goals for a year ago they were 3.23, good for 11. Goals against, they were number one in the league at a 2.41. That's good for a plus 67 in the goal differential. Power play, they were quite good, 23.5%. And the PK, they were tied for sixth at 82.5. And face off top, 11th, 51.3. So overall, real nice metrics there. And I apologize, I'm a little distracted just watching the monitor over here. It's like about 8.5 minutes to go in the first with Seattle and St. Louis. So, yeah, it's so nice to have hockey back on the TV. Oh, I'm so happy. Ben is happy. Talk about core skaters. These are all, of course, household names at this point, starting with center Sam Reinhart. Uh, Career high for him, 82 games for him, but 57 goals, 37 assists, but 94 points. So career year for him. Prior to that, his highest numbers have been 33 goals and 82 points back in 21-22. So he'll be something to watch. Can he repeat that? That was just a monster year out of him. Forward Matthew Kachuk, after a little bit of a slow start, did finish with 88 points in 80 games, at 26 goals and 62 assists. Alexander Barkov, center, and I'd say Patrice Bergeron 2.0. Great defensive center. Played in 73 games, at 23 goals, 57 assists for 80 points. Uh, he can play for my team any day of the week. Center Carter Verhaeghe, 76 games for him, 34 goals, 38 assists for 72 points, and always just seemed to be a thorn in the side when they play Boston. Of course, they're going to be playing later tonight. Always seemed to be that just the guy that would get that goal that would kind of sink you, right? Tough player. And of course, Sam Bennett, 69 games. So missed a little bit there. 20 goals, 21 assists for 41 points. Just another one of those just thorn in the side type players. A guy that you love to have on your team. You hate to play against him, right? Um, Goaltenders. We are going to start by talking about Sergei Bobrovsky. Of course, 58 games for him a year ago. Just had a tremendous season for himself. A 36, 17, and 4 record. 2.37 goals against average, and a 915 save percentage. That's the type of goaltending you get when you're going to try to win a Stanley Cup, right? But looking at the goalie situation for tonight, according to Elliot Friedman, goalie Chris Drager was waived today. He had kind of been listed as the backup. So kind of leading to wondering if Spencer Knight might step in and be the backup for the team. As of yesterday, he was not listed on the 23-man roster. I kind of looked around before I came on, couldn't really find anything definitive. If you're a Florida fan, you may know and may have seen what they're planning to do, but I'm assuming it's going to be Spencer Knight backing up. But I guess we'll all find out here quite soon. Key additions for the season: some old Boston Bruin friends here, but forward Thomas Nosek comes on over. Played in New Jersey a year prior. Forward AJ Greer, forward Jesper Boquist with Boston a year ago, and defenseman Nate Schmidt. Of course, Thomas Nosek is listed as is injured. Looks like a week-to-week injury for him, so he won't be in uniform tonight. Key departures, some tough ones. And this happens, man. When you win a Stanley Cup, these are the things that happen. But you lose defenseman Brandon Montour up to Seattle, goalie Anthony Stolars, and defenseman Oliver Ekman Larson, both off to Toronto. Forward Kevin Stenlin, forward Ryan Lomberg, former UMaine Black Bear, Ryan Lomberg, back to, I think, Calgary. And then forward Vladimir Tarasenko up to Detroit. So a lot of losses there for the team. And let's talk about that. Is that too many losses for this team? I do think they're going to miss Montour. I think he just really fit in so well with what they do there defensively. Um, he's going to definitely be felt. And I look at guys like Stenlin and Lomberg, who were more kind of bottom six type forwards, as just those tough, gritty guys that, again, knew the system, knew how they had to play, and really made them a four-line type of team that had physicality, had scoring. Those guys are you know, yes, they're replaceable for sure, but you just hate to lose those kind of key players. Tarasenko, a bit of a rental, has still has a scoring touch. But you do wonder, is this too many losses? I think the Montour loss and the Larson loss, to be honest, you losing two key defensemen there. Uh, I don't know if they have enough defense right now. I just don't. As much as this will still be a really tough team to play against, they still have all that offense, all those forwards. You just wonder about the blue line. I am a little bit concerned for them in that regard, and that's probably going to be an area where they try to firm it up as you go through the season, get to the deadline. Um, they might be a little bit vulnerable defensively. Of course, if you watch him pitch a shutout tonight, against Boston, we'll see how it goes, right? Um, but you do wonder if these losses start to catch up to him. You just do, and you wonder that. Also wonder. This has now been a 3-year run for this team. We all know how hard it is to make it to the Stanley Cup 3 times in a row. Tampa just did it. We know they were right there. Um, but you go back 3 years ago, President's Trophy winners, right? They do lose in that second round to Tampa while they were on their run. And then they've made that run to the Stanley Cup each of the past 2 seasons. That's a lot of hockey. That is a lot of hockey to to play. Um, do they have another run in them? I think it's fair to question. I think it's fair to question. Now, part of it is you get that taste of winning, you get that taste of being there. You want to go back. You're motivated to go back. This team is led by Matthew Tkachuk. He's not the kind of player that's just going to allow people to be passengers, on this train. Right? Everybody's going to be working when you have a player like him on the ice. But you do wonder. I do wonder how hungry are they going to be this year? When you're in that snowy night in February, you're up in Edmonton, or you're up in, Winnipeg, you know, on a snowy Tuesday night. How hungry are you? Um, so that's kind of why I wonder. I really don't see them winning this Atlantic Division this year because I just don't know if they're going to really feel like they have to bring it every night through 82 games. Doesn't mean they're not going to put an effort out there. I just think they probably don't care as much about winning this division. They know they just need to get into the playoffs. And who they play, where they play, I really don't think they care. I mean, they were an 8 seed a couple years ago. They go all the way to the cup. You know, didn't matter. Did home ice matter a little bit in the Stanley Cup final this past year? I mean, they do win that in Florida. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's a veteran team. They know how to win. Coach knows how to win. I just don't think where they finish, as long as they finish in the top 3 in the Atlantic, and I no doubt they will, I don't think winning that Atlantic means nearly as much, to them as it might to, let's say, a Toronto Maple Leafs type team, who I think are so desperate to get out of that 2-3 matchup that they've been in the last few years. It's just been kind of, actual hell for the Maple Leafs. So I think it, you know, much more important for a team like that versus a team like Florida. Um, are they still dangerous? Yeah, they're still dangerous. They still have a ton of offense. Barkov to me is maybe the best center in the league. I listen. I know, Austin Matthews is a center, McDavid's a center. When I say best in the league, I mean yes, offense, but with the 200-foot game he plays, the type of defense he plays, Patrice Bergeron esque, maybe a better goal scorer than Bergeron too. I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but this guy's an animal. And no, I wouldn't take him over Connor McDavid. Before everybody starts calling, "You're going to take Connor McDavid over Barkov?" No, but in terms of overall game, man, again, I'll take this guy on my team any day of the week. So this is still a very dangerous, very scary team to play against, um, from an offense perspective. From a being on a penalty kill against this team. Again, do have some questions about their defense. That's really what I question about them this year. What about Bob? What about Bob? Sergei Bobrovsky. He is now 36 years old. 2 years left on his contract. Paid him 10 million per season. Over the past 3 years, he has played in over 50 games per season. So that's well over 150 games over the past 3. And you can add on another 53 playoff games that he's played in that time. So that's a whole other season of play. So he's really played 4 seasons of hockey in the past 3 years. And that goes for any of these players that have been around. That's a lot of hockey. A lot of hockey playing at a very, very high level, championship level hockey for him. Yes, we know that goaltenders, and looks like Bob is aging kind of like fine wine here, right? Like he hasn't really slowed down yet, but Father Time will catch up. At 36 years old, is he due to play another 50, 55, 60 games this year? Or do they really want to see a Spencer Knight, someone like that, step up and be able to play 30, 32, 34 games to give Bob a little bit of rest? Man, that's a lot of hockey to play. And I think if you're, in that Florida organization, you want to be a little mindful of that. Don't wear him out. Don't ride him too hard this year. He is getting a little bit older. So we'll see how that goes. Uh, Playoffs? Yes. Yeah, they're they're a playoff team this year. I think in my official rankings, I have them second in the Atlantic, behind Boston, and they'll be in that, in my opinion, that 2-3 matchup with Toronto to get the playoffs started. Another full cup run? I'm not sure. As they're constructed right now, I do have those concerns on defense. You add another key defender at the deadline, maybe two. Maybe I change my tune a little bit. I do think some of these losses catch up a little bit, and I think Boston maybe has caught them at least on the defensive side. Now, my questions with Boston are: do they have enough scoring? Right? We've talked about that. Um, so again, nothing will shock me with this team. If they make another cup run, that won't shock me at all. I don't expect it. I just don't. I think eventually they have to ebb off. This might be the year that happens, but gonna be fun to watch. Gonna be fun to watch tonight. Again, surprised they're getting that game in. So we will see how it goes for those Florida Panthers defending their Stanley Cup this season. Um, will be a lot of fun. So that's going to wrap up the season previews for this season. Again, I do have my prediction video that came out a few days ago, and as I mentioned in my Edmonton video, me and my little kiddo did a fun video last night where he picked some magnets and made his own Stanley Cup picks. So uh, go check that out. I know he'd be tickled to death to see some fun comments from people on that one. Anyway, guys, thank you as always for the support. Enjoy the hockey tonight. Should be a heck of a lot of fun. Can't wait to get it going. And until next time, be kind, show love, stay safe, Florida, and God bless.